it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker. I'd like to thank Dr. Merav Ozair for joining us today. Merav is a data scientist, a quant strategist, and a crypto blockchain expert. She has more than 12 years of business and consulting experience. Merav has in-depth knowledge and experience in global financial markets and its market microstructure. Not easy to say. Currently, she applies her unique expertise to investigating the blockchain ecosystem, digital assets, and crypto markets. In particular, Merav has been developing innovative methodologies to evaluate digital assets and crypto markets, including cryptocurrency indexes, valuation metrics, ratings, and tokenized products. With more than 15 years teaching experience, Merav is a faculty member at both NYU and Rutgers. At Rutgers Business School, she teaches courses on blockchain and digital assets for both undergrads and graduate students, including a quantitative blockchain and cryptocurrency course for our Masters in Quantitative Finance. So, Merav, take it from here, please.
Thank you, Margaret, for the kind introduction, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk today to this audience. And thank you all for being with me during lunchtime. And it's okay if you have your lunch while listening to me. It's all good. So a little bit about why I decided to talk about this this topic today is because I've been talking to my students and also people that I know in whether it's colleagues and kids of colleagues, etc. And I hear a lot that because of our new situation, there is some concerns, and probably rightfully so, about the job market. How is it changing? Especially those who are just entering the job market, they have a lot of concerns of what they need to do. Can they get a job? If they get a job, what do they need to prepare for? What are the skills that are needed? How our workforce is changing? Because everything is changing and our life has changed, right? I mean, whatever we used to do like 2-3 months ago, we probably can't exactly do the same. So I will talk about that. So I thought, maybe it's a good idea to have a conversation about that. I will try to touch all the issues possible, but again, you can ask questions during this presentation, this webinar, and also if not, if you won't have a chance to ask me questions during, then you can always reach me either on LinkedIn or shoot me an email. I'm very much approachable and easy to find. So before we start, I would like to start with a poll. So Margaret, and I would like to get a sense of your current situation, where you at, and then according to that, have a better idea, a better feel of how to forward this discussion. So let's see what's happening. So
okay, so I can give you an idea of how things are tracking. It looks like we have a number of people who are currently employed, but they're interested in better opportunities, and also a number that are actively looking for a job, whether it be an internship or permanent.
Okay.
And we'll just give a few more seconds for people to weigh in, and then we'll close it out and share the results with you.
Excellent, excellent.
All right, everyone, I'm going to close it out and share those results. Do you see them, or do you need me to give you the numbers?
I don't see the result. Do they see the result?
Yes, everybody should be seeing.
I don't see them.
Okay, then let me tell you, what we're seeing. 28% are actively looking for an internship or permanent job.
Okay.
16% will start looking in the next 1 to 3 months. 5% are anticipate looking for a job 6 months from now. And then a whopping 52% currently have a job but are interested in better opportunities.
Great. I'm very happy to know that the majority are employed, which is awesome. that's what we want, right? And always, trying to better your situation is always good. Always, looking for a better job and a better situation. So I'm very, very happy and pleased to know that. But nonetheless, things are changing. So therefore, we'll see how that affects your your current, even your current job at the moment. And I'm sure that some of you are already experiencing some changes, and we'll talk more about that. And that also will probably help you understand, if you're looking for better opportunities, then how you should position yourself. So always look for the best. I mean, I'm very happy that you want to better your life. It's always good. Okay, now it's not moving. Okay, moving. Excellent. So I guess it's pretty obvious. I mean, I'm just kind of like saying what everyone is already know, that the stay-at-home mandate basically changed our life. I mean, all of our life. I'm not just talking about our work life, but everything that is in person moved online. So whatever companies can do remotely, they moved remotely. And of course, there are things that cannot be removed remotely, whether you want to go to the spa or whether you want to have a haircut, or even if you want your eye doctor to check your eyes, they cannot do it remotely. They need to see you and, have the equipment and everything and see you. So there are things that cannot be done without the contact. And of course, we're going to get there at some point. It's not that we're never going to go to the spa ever again or ever have a haircut. I mean, God forbid, I hope that's not going to happen. But nonetheless, these things, also needs to be figured out, and that's what people are trying to do. But other than that, if there are things that can be done remotely, and that's what companies, why they became so innovative these days, is that they realize that a lot of the things that they do, if they're not, services like spa or doctors or something of that sort, then they can definitely move it online. Whether it's banking now, I'm sure that you've seen all the commercials with Chase Bank. I mean, full disclosure, I use Chase and I think it's awesome, this mobile. It's working. I used it even before COVID. So for me, it was, I kind of makes sense. So you have the banking and shopping and gaming and exercises. I mean, suddenly everyone is buying all this equipment, so for home gym. It's not that we're never going to go back to the gym, but who knows, maybe we got used and we like this equipment. We're not going to use the gym so often anymore. We have health care. A lot of things are happening with your doctors. Probably you have the telenet. I don't know, I mean, at least my physician, they doing all this Zoom conferencing and talking with you, and of course learning. We all experienced at Rutgers how everything moved online. Not to say that we didn't have e-learning and remote learning already, but this, of course, accelerated. But we never had is that worldwide, all education, from colleges to high school and primary schools. I mean, they all moved like in one day, so to speak, online, and that's never happened. Is an experience that we'll always remember, whoever been through this crisis. So I'll talk more and more about that because things can. I mean, I know that the transition was a little bit clunky in some situations, but it can be better with better technology, and if we just put some thoughts into that. And of course, social and personal events, everything become like Zoom conference or of some sort. So yeah, so all of our lives have moved. And again, as I mentioned, the digital shift has already been taking place. Some companies were already there 100% or close to 100%. Others were resistant to do it, and the crisis basically forced them to be there. So they had to go from maybe 0 to 50% and maybe even 100%. And this transition, the COVID just accelerated transition. It didn't create the transition, it just accelerated it. But if you think about, we're always moving into more technology and more technology. We're using more technology, and that is something that has always been part of our lives. And technology has been improving in an accelerated rate exponentially. I mean, whatever we were able to do in 10 years, now we can do in 5 years, and etc. And this is a very logical and natural transition that a lot of things in our lives will be done with technology. I mean, the robotic that we already, or the self automated automobiles that we will learning about, and all of those things, have already been happening, and of course probably will get a little bit more of a boost right now. We'll talk more about that. So what are the implications? Well, companies transitioned all, if at least most, if not all, of their activities to remote, whether it's all the internal communications with their employees, external communications with customers, suppliers, partners, all the operations that used to be like in the office or on place, on the premise, now are done remotely. And again, when I'm saying remotely, it doesn't necessarily has to be in your home. I mean, now, okay, we have this mandate to stay at home, but if you think about it, you can do it at the cafe, you can do it at the beach in Hawaii, if you feel like doing that. But doing it remotely can be done. This is why I'm saying it's remote and not necessarily home, but that's the idea. So all the operations, the services that that you provide to your clients and customers have also moved remotely, and of course, all the control and the support has to also be remote, and the monitoring. So everything is being remote, from all activities that you can think of. And the name of the game now is agility, flexibility, and creativity. And if you think about it, you basically have to adapt. All companies have to adapt the startup mindset, right? I mean, we have to really act very quickly. We really have to pivot very quickly. There's no time to think things over. I mean, and that applies not just to startup, because startups are always being very agile in their decision making, and always pivoting to the next thing because they have to survive. But now, even traditional companies that have been around for many years, that always been resisting to change, now have to adapt this mindset, because if they don't, they will not survive. And when I'm thinking about, people have really been very creative. I mean, I heard stories about a brewery who's now also manufacturing sanitizers, hand sanitizers, or you hear about a clothing company that now using their excess um, fabric for masks, for face masks. And there's also a very, very interesting story about a company that manufactures and it's a farmer, and also manufactures and produces beans. And the main customers used to be restaurants, and we all know that all restaurants closed down with a shutdown. And they, at first, they got a huge hit to the revenue, so they had a huge loss. Now they had to rethink, right? How are you going to rethink? And then if you think about it, you have to really understand your customers and where your customers are. And technology enables that. And I explained, with the bean companies, for example, I mean, they realize, okay, so restaurants, we can't sell to restaurants, restaurants are closed, but people are still eating beans. They didn't change their taste in the food. And at least that didn't completely change. So where are they? And they start, trying to research about that, and going to the internet, of course, and gathering information. And they realize that, so now what they do is that they do a direct sell to customers. That's one thing that they're doing. And also they also start, looking for all this grocery type of locations, and start to selling to them. And in fact, they said that now the revenue is even more than what they had compared to the same time last year. So just think about it. They were able to even improve the situation rather than worsen it. So that's what I'm saying. You know, and this is a company that has been around for, I don't know, 20, 30 years. So they never thought about change. I mean, there's an adage in English, right? You know, if ants ain't broken, don't fix it. So I guess now things are broken and it's time to fix. And the fix is sometimes better than the old. So the new is not necessarily a bad thing. So yeah, every business now is technology business, whether we like it or not just the tech companies. And now everything is very customer. It has always been a customer centric, but now it's even more because we really have to look for the customers, where they at, what are the needs, how to adjust to them in order to survive, and technology is definitely enabling all of that. So both the workplace and the workforce is changing accordingly because the mindset have changed, the companies have changed their mindset, and the way they are adjusting in many ways, even in the way that they make decisions, the way that they position themselves, and in the way that they handle customers and employees. So the main trends are working from home or remotely. I prefer to say remotely because now, yeah, we have this stay-at-home mandate, but it's going to open, so it doesn't really, as long as you can work remotely, it doesn't really matter where from. And yeah, and everything is digital centric, like more tech tools, advanced analytics, operations, for operations and decision making, which I will touch more on that. And therefore, companies are making more investments in both in cybersecurity and security, and all of some improved and innovative tools and applications, because the tools, not because we're using more technology, then it's time to invest in better technology and better tools and better applications, both for our workforce and for our clients. So it's the entire ecosystem is going to change in that sense. And cybersecurity is definitely something of importance. And there was a survey of asking companies, you know, what is the main thing that now it's on the top of the list, and cybersecurity was somewhere at the top, because, you know, everything is on the internet, everything is done remotely, we're using a lot of the cloud, and so security of the information, the company proprietary information, the privacy of the clients, the privacy of the employees, there's a lot of things at stake here. And all of those things needs to be taken care of. And if they thought in the past, oh, we still have time to adjust, there's no time. Time is of the essence, and the time is now. So let's start with working from home or working remotely and explain more about that. So I'm sure that you already heard that yourself, that Facebook and Twitter already announced that whoever wants to continue working from home can do that indefinitely. Google and Amex announced that they're going to continue doing that until the end of the year. Who knows if things will not change that rapidly? And because we don't know. I mean, they say that there's maybe a chance of that until we have a vaccine. It's about 2 years from now, and there might be another wave of COVID in the fall. I mean, we don't know. I mean, there's so many unanswered questions and so many question marks, and all of this can change, and who knows, maybe they will decide, like Facebook and Twitter, okay, if anyone wants to stay remote, just stay remote. And as for even investment banks, which is a very conservative industry, I mean, they never even thought of working remotely. They're already thinking about it, because it's now with the distancing and social distancing and everything, they will not be able, you know, to cramp their offices again like they used to be with the open spaces and everything. So they have to rethink on how to bring everyone, if they want to bring them. So they've already been considering maybe that 50% or more of the workforce will continue from home. And who knows? maybe they like it so much and they accommodate to that because they already realize that it's working and working pretty efficiently. So why not? Because for example, there's a I mean, the biotech company, for example, is also a very kind of traditional conservative type of industry, and they were interviewing some CEOs, and the CEO of Septra was saying that he was very resisting at first, of working remotely, and he didn't think that that's ever going to happen. But now we know that he was forced, that all of his workforce is now working remotely. He kind of liked the idea. He says he saw that, people are very efficient, they're working very well, and the communication is very well. So there's no need to alarm that may not work. And that kind of triggered, and he was saying that probably they will continue doing that. They will start, saving more cost on traveling and putting that more into research and development. So the shift of cost and saving and where investing is going to shift. And who knows, maybe you can invest more in the comfort and compensation of their employees. I mean, because instead of cutting costs not in the right places. So we'll see. You see that people, so companies, CEOs and leaders are understanding that working from home not it can still be very efficient. And I'll talk more about that. Yeah, because there was also a CNBC survey not long, I mean, I think a few weeks ago. And for those of you who are working, probably you have moved to remote working if you are in the white collar, non-essential white collar employees. And it seems that 24% or so, maybe even more, because I'm not sure, we don't know exactly where the positions, is that they will like to continue working from home. And only 55% probably will want to go back to work. And I'm sure that you are probably, I'm thinking that you're probably in this range over here, because if you are at Rutgers Business School, you probably in the white collar type. So most of you probably are working from home, and that may stay this way at least in the foreseeable future. 6 months from now to a year, maybe 2 years even, and who knows, maybe companies will like it so much that they will just, and employees will like it so much that it will stay this way. Let's see why I'm not being able to move. Trying to move my, oops, it's not moving. Oh, okay, now it's moving. I didn't want, okay, oh God, so now I have this circle now that is going to stay. Let me see if I can erase it, sorry.
Nothing ever goes as rehearsed, right, Merav?
Sorry?
Nothing ever goes as rehearsed.
No, I don't know why. Remember that the pen before didn't, so now it's, should I just leave the circle and they will be fine with it, or?
Whatever you want to do.
I'm just trying to, I can't find my cursor now. I mean, everything is kind of
Okay.
forced.
Well, why don't we keep moving then, if it's too hard.
Yeah, it's just like, I've been trying to maybe pointer, okay, eraser. Oh, I don't have the eraser now for whatever reason. It doesn't allow me the eraser. Okay, so let's leave it. I mean, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry for that. I can't find the eraser. I mean, the eraser is not working. Okay, sorry for this. Okay, so it's kind of weird, in fact, that Let me see, can I? Okay, sorry about that. I don't know why the eraser is not working. Yeah, the eraser is not working.
So everyone's saying leave the circle, it's fine.
Okay, okay. Sorry about that. I'm sorry for this inconvenience. Okay, so you're probably going to be in this area, and oh no, this is not working. Okay, now it's working. So as I said, people are really being, at least semi-productive or more productive now that they're working from home. And in fact, there's just a report that was published today by Cushman. I'm sure you know Cushman. It's a big retailer, especially in New York, and they have done the survey, and they say they do about 90% of employees and employers are saying that people are very efficient working from home, and even more efficient. The communication is even better. So the employers, and also they're saying that both employers say that they can trust their employee, and employees feel that employers can trust them. So all these trust issues, that used to be, especially with very conservative industries, about working remotely has changed. So we all feeling much more that can continue happening, and we can still be very productive. Okay, so I would like now to ask you, what are your preferences as for working from home? And probably those of you, the 50 something percent of you already experiencing that.
So I launched the poll, and we do have people actively responding.
Excellent.
The numbers are definitely moving as we're talking, but
Mhm.
a strong result in the work entirely or more from home right now. We'll
Oh,
leave it open for a few more seconds to allow a few more people to weigh in.
okay. And you give me the result. I probably will not be able to see them. I don't know. Something is not functioning. I mean, I love technology, but sometimes it's
I
not
know
working the way you
it's like
want.
live TV, so must go
Exactly.
on.
So we're just gonna work.
Yeah,
Uh,
okay. All right, everybody, I'm going to close it out and share the results.
okay. So I
All right.
don't see them, but you can tell me the results.
Okay. So the work entirely from home is as strong as I was telling you it was at 64%.
Whoa.
27% say work in the office, and 9% not sure.
Wow. So if I take the non-sure plus, it's almost 70%, right? Or even more than 70% that wants to continue working from home, and that's basically what we're hearing. I mean, that's a sense of a lot of people that feel that they want to continue working from home. And when you look at the benefit, probably those of you who have mentioned that, probably thought about this kind of benefits, and maybe you can share even more benefit of that. But that's what I've been thinking when I'm working from home. I have flexible hours, no commute. Sometimes there are places that you have to spend maybe at least 2 hours a day going back and forth, and 2 hours, that's a lot of time. A lot of time to either spend with your friends, or if you have a family, to spend with your family. Maybe have a hobby, exercise more. I don't know, there are all kinds of things that you say, I don't have time, I don't have time. We always like in this, mantra of we don't have enough time. And if we cut this commute, we're definitely going to have extra time to do more things that we are more enjoyable for us than just commuting in a crowded subway, or I don't know, whatever, or traffic jam if you're driving. And another thing that you can think about, which I've noticed, is that the pool of talent and the pool of opportunities for this. So it goes both ways. What I mean by that, as an employee, you have more opportunities because now they don't have to ask you, well, we are located in Virginia and you live now in Ohio. or in New Jersey, I mean, are you willing to relocate? You don't have to ask this question anymore. And I don't have to relocate because I can still be among my family and friends, and I don't, and maybe I love my apartment or my house that I just bought or something, and I don't have to move, but I can still work for this wonderful company in Virginia. They have a lot of great tech companies down there, by the way. So from an employee perspective, you have more opportunities, and also as an employer, you don't have to think about this relocate. I mean, my talent pool, where they're gonna be from. So it works both way. I mean, I don't have a statistic, and I don't think anyone has done any research on that yet. Whether where's the balance? I mean, who's really benefiting from that more? Whether it's the employee or the employers. But I think that even as an employee, you are definitely benefiting from that, because you have a lot of places. You don't have to think about relocating. I mean, if companies are open to for remote, and they are these days, then maybe there's a company that you always wanted to work in Europe, but you never wanted to travel there, and you can now start working for. So that's really something to think about. That I think that's a huge benefit here. So yeah, communication now is all about, using Zoom and Microsoft Team, and all of that. The collaboration is whether with Slack or Google or GitHub. I mean, now it's all being, you can still do a lot of collaborations this way. If you are a tech person, and I've been in the tech environment for a long time, and even though I'm not a developer per se, but I've been working on development and working with development team and research and all of that. So for my communications with worldwide team, whether it's people from Singapore to Australia to Europe and all around the US, I mean, has always been. So I know it's possible. And it's kind of fun. I mean, to be, at least from my experience, you meet people from different cultures and places, and you learn a lot. Yeah, so virtual meetings now, I mean, they're very short. So in order to stay on top of things, and have this, startup mindset, and always pivot and change, and make all this communications very efficient. I mean, you have virtual meetings, and virtual meetings are very short. It could be anything between 20 minutes to half an hour. Could be even twice a day, at least once a day, and they're very focused, very to the point, going through the agenda, and everyone is providing some feedback. In the past, the planning of sales and marketing used to be like once a week or once a month even. Now it's on a daily basis. The reporting is on a daily basis. Everything is very focused, and you have to meet the deadline, which is very imperative. So it's now that you're working remotely, it doesn't mean that you're not efficient. You're even more efficient. It's not that you're just resting all day and laying around in your sweatpants, and you have to get out of this mind of your sweatpants, and you probably in the mind of working, wherever that work is, and whatever you place your working mind, but it's still possible. So things are, and this is why the communication is even better, because everything is very focused. There's no time for chit chat and small talk and all of that. Now it's time to just work. You do your work during whatever time that you're supposed to put in, and whatever what is the task of the day or task of the week, and you're going to do that, and making sure that everything is on schedule, and helping the company improve. And it's all about improving and pivoting and making things better. So I think it's time to move very quickly to digital tech and analytics, which I already mentioned. So the workplace has changed, and we're using more technology tools, and that means that we need to be more familiar with tech tools. So I want to ask a couple of questions. The first question is, what is your comfort level with tech tools? Because it's very important that you are. And then I'll ask you another question that relates to that.
So it's a very close race between very comfortable and somewhat comfortable. And good news, there's only a few people who are saying that they're not comfortable. We'll give the
They will
audience a few.
they will get there. They will get there. I have hope. I have hope.
We'll give the audience a few more seconds to weigh in, and then we'll share the results for everyone to see. Everyone except for you, Merav, and
Yeah,
I'll read them to you
it's
for
okay. It's okay. As long
that.
as you provide me with the results, I'm more than fine.
Okay, everyone, I'm going to close it now, and we'll share the results that we have so far.
Okay.
So at the time we closed, we had 45% very comfortable,
Excellent.
52% somewhat comfortable, and a small number, 3% not comfortable.
Excellent. It's okay. So I'm very, very, very happy to hear that the majority, almost all of you are somewhat to very comfortable with technology, because this is it. I mean, everything is going to be technology centric. I mean, you have to be comfortable, and if you're not comfortable, so it's time that you get yourself familiar with technology more and more. Every day do a little bit, because you have to, because even companies that were resisting technology now have, brought some technology into the workplace, because they realize that without it, they don't exist. So take your time. I mean, no pressure, but understand that this is the future. Okay, another question, just to see again where you're at with this.
Okay, so we do have our audience weighing in here.
Mhm.
And in terms of programming, we seem to have more people in the no knowledge at the moment. Um, Definitely not a lot with responding that they're proficient in at least one language yet, but we'll give a few more seconds for everybody to weigh in.
Okay.
All right, I'm going to close it out and share the results. So we have 9% only that say they're proficient in at least one programming language,
Mhm.
30% with basic knowledge but improving with experience, and
Oh, good.
61% say no knowledge.
Okay, so I guess after, when we're gonna talk about very quickly about the technology, you realize that you have to move into that programming skills sooner rather than later. I'll explain that, what I mean by that. So the fact that you know how to work with technology tools, it's already a good start, but this has to progress and get better and better. So why am I saying that? Companies are most likely, they're definitely already investing, and they will continue to invest a lot more in digital services for clients, customers, and also to better, the customer digital experience, the employee tools, and what I mean by that, let me just give you a few examples what I mean by that. Let's say, when we're talking about Internet of Things. For example, that there's now applications. There was a start even before COVID-19. They started, thinking about, a way that, let's say you have these watches, like Fitbit or Apple Watch, that collects all your information, whether your heart rate and everything else, and that is sent directly to, let's say, the smartphone of your doctor, or his or her tablet. So all of this information, or you can share it, with whoever else that you want. And just think about when Internet of Things, when think about it, it's like how this, so to speak, that the digital devices, whether it's a tablet or Alexa or your Fitbit, are talking to each other, and all this information is collected from all of these devices into one hub, and being shared with all of these devices through the Internet of Things. And that's what Internet of Things is all about. And if you think about it, that will definitely, if we create more applications like that, the customer experience will benefit from that. I'm just give you this idea with how you communicate with the doctors, for example. You don't have to send them something; they just have to, the application from your watch can be sent, or from your Alexa, if you have an Alexa. And if you think about, the workplace, I was just listening to an interview with the CTO of Goldman Sachs, and they were saying, Goldman Sachs is a very traditional, old school type of bank you can think, but no, they have now a very much of a mind of startup or fintech type of mindset, because he was saying, it's time for them to be the leaders, not the followers. And he was saying that they probably will be working on something like a trading platform with a VR. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean, gaming, right? I mean, I don't know. Have you ever been to the Microsoft store when it was open? And they very big on gaming. You put your goggles and, you can see yourself, kind of as if working in this imaginary world. And that's what VR is all about, or AR, augmented reality. So think about, that you're standing, in the room, and all of these charts and trading, are kind of like floating around you, and you can touch it, like, in a sci-fi movie. But I always say that, first the mind imagine, then technology follows. And a lot of things that has been like in the sci-fi movies back in the 80s are already happening today. For example, there was a sci-fi movie, I can't remember the name exactly, in the 80s, I think, or early 90s. And video conferencing was like a sci-fi thing. I mean, but today, I mean, yeah, I mean, we're doing it. So all the things that you can just let yourself imagine, the technology will follow. So there are a lot of things that's going to change. I mean, in tools for customers, for work, and all these ideas that just think about it, and I'm sure that someone either is already working on it or will be working on it. That's, I can guarantee. So, and of course, there will be more tech support. So all of these tools that today may be a bit clunky now that we all move to remote will become better, because we know that this is now going to be the new normal. So we're going to make all of these tools much, much better, whether it's the learning, even learning. If you think about it, you can have learning, VR and learning. Think about a VR classroom that you can, as if, see all your classmates in your room at home. Think about it. That could happen. I mean, as I said, imagine and it will happen. I will not be surprised if someone is already started working on that. Things can get really interesting in the near future. I'm very excited. So what does that mean? It means that there will be more need for developers and people with programming skills. So if you're not a developer, you're probably not in that group. And increased need for, of course, IT support people, and increased need for data scientists and engineers, because we need to collect the data. We need to understand our customers better, and therefore data is very, very centric. And also decision making is going to change and will be more data driven for sure, whether it's marketing or sales or planning or anything. So we're going to use internal data, which we already do, external data, which we already do, and also alternative data. Let me explain to you what I mean by alternative data when I'm talking about satellite imaging. I mean, think about, that from the satellite, you can get images, let's say, of the parking lot of Walmart, right? So Walmart, can have, know exactly, what is the traffic that is coming in and out, and the trends, whether it's getting more or less, and where, which are the locations that are really very crowded, the others that are not. And according to that, adjust their inventory, data supply chains, and also in integrating this information with other information that they have, so they can position the supply chain inventory much, much better. Now, if you think about it, since this is satellite imaging and this is information that it's not only reserved for Walmart, also their competitors can look at this. So you can also know what's happening with your competitors, so you can understand exactly what's happening with the entire economy and the entire industry. It's very interesting situation. Just think about, how data can be of your service. And we need the people, because the data is available. Don't get me wrong, it's there. You just have to tap to it. So one is understanding how to tap into this information, and the other thing is understanding how to analyze this information. And this is where we need a lot of interdisciplinary knowledge, because for the interpretation, okay, so let's give the science, to to do the analysis, but then I need the interpretation. So I need the marketing people, I need the behavioral science people, because at the end of the day, we are humans, right? You are serving humans. You're not serving robots, at least yet, I hope. And so we need that interdisciplinary knowledge form. So we still need all these people with all these very unique expertise to help us interpret. So there will be, of course, an increase for data scientists, data engineers, increased need for programming, working with structured with data APIs, meaning that the application program interface is basically how we tap into this imaging or in other data sources. You need at least some experience with CRM, which is customers relationship management. I mean, Salesforce, if you are familiar with that. So we need to understand that, but we also have to understand how to use these analytics, and maybe, I mean, you really understand, and most important is really understand your business, understand your customers, because it could be that the tools that are provided by CRM are not enough, and you can, if you're not a developer, you don't have to be a developer, but for suggesting ideas of how to improve and what other tools can be, so can be added. So agility, flexibility, creativity, all of that is very important. And yeah, so all kinds of other skills. When I'm talking about knowledge in blockchain, I teach blockchain, and I don't necessarily teach blockchain to developers, because I'm not a developer myself. But what I mean by that is that understanding what technology like AI and blockchain, AI is artificial intelligence, can do, that's enough from a business perspective, because that allows you to understand how you can utilize this technology to make better solutions for your business. So you can come with an idea, you can come with a plan, a very strategic plan with a strategy, and then give that to the developer to execute. So you do need to understand this technology. I mean, it's not necessarily in a development kind of level, but at least in the concept of what they do, in order to at least come up with the idea, a plan and strategy, and already help your company to move to the next level, to the next stage, to the next normal, to the next future. I mean, think about the future with a lot of VR and AR and all this technology that is helping your life, helping. Just think about technology as helping, not inhibiting. And yeah, psychology is definitely, and human behavior is definitely something that is of importance, and we need these people, because again, at the end of the day, we have a technology, but we need someone to help us understand how to execute that and understand our customers and interpret it. So with that said, I thank you for having me, and I'm opening it now for questions. And Margaret, please help me here.
Sure. We have a lot of great questions.
Wow.
So I'm going to start with, and a couple people asked this, so they may not hear it in their exact words, but this is almost like a three-parter. So
Okay.
which programming languages, how do you increase your knowledge in programming languages, and do certifications around programming help you stand out in the job market?
Okay. So first of all, I think, if you want to increase your programming knowledge, I think, you can start with the very, I mean, the most common programming languages in any industry are Python and R, but I think that R is much easier to understand, and much easier to gain knowledge in if you are not, if you don't have any background in programming. I think that's a good way to start, because it's more like a statistical language, and there are a lot of sources out there for you, and so you can either go and find all kinds of I mean, it's also an open source, so there's tons of forums on R that you can join, and that will, you can just type a question and get an answer. But if you want a course, I think that Coursera has a very decent course. It takes about a few months if you really want to, do it, you know, something that is more structured rather than just look for information out there. So I hope I answered this question.
That's great. So I have another multi-part question, and it is around career changers. So, we understand that many of us held jobs, and those jobs sent us home and instructed us to work from home. But what about being a career changer and getting a job that is a work from home? Like, what is it about, getting a job that's work from home? What are the new jobs that are available? What skills are companies looking for? And is now actually a good time to be a career changer?
Okay, let me see if I got this right. So you're asking whether it's a good time to be a career changer, what skills are needed for career changer, or something like that, right? And whether there are jobs open for this. Well,
And
so I don't know
how,
exactly.
like a jobs that can do work from home, like being hired into a job that does work from home versus being in a job where someone already knows you and trusts you and sends you home under these circumstances.
I can tell you that I see people that I know that are now getting the first job or the second job as remotely, and they stationed, I don't know, in New York, and they working with a company in Massachusetts, and they just got the job recently in the past week or two. So it could be that you get a new job which is remote. Because a lot of jobs, employer. That's what I said before, is that employers are now understanding that you don't have to relocate. You can still work from home, whether you want to become a developer or you want to become even I don't know, a marketer or what. I don't know what is the transition exactly because the question is not specific. But you can still do that, and get a job working remotely. You don't have to be on premise, and no one is going to ask you to relocate now. And companies that are looking for job and they need the employees and they realize that they need, because there's more need for them, because they need to understand the customers better. They need to all kinds of people with different skill set that maybe they were not able to find in the past, but now they need them. And if you are that person, then go for it. And I think this is in fact maybe even a good time for career changers, because it's a time where companies are more open for this remote work. And there's a lot of things that you can do from work if you prefer to do them from work. And there's a lot of talent that they know they can tap to. And if you are that person with that talent, they will definitely talk to you.
Hmm.
That's what I see.
Very good. What are the skills that companies are looking for?
In what sense?
So are you saying that like all sectors are hiring, so it's this kind of wide variety of skills, or are there skills that are specific to our changed environment that companies would be looking for?
I as I the way I see it, I mean, let's put it this way. There are some work that people are now understanding that, no matter what your job is, you can still do it from home. You don't, if you not, as I said, working at a spa or something, you don't need to come to work, so you can still do that. So those skills are not changing. You do have to feel comfortable with collaborating remotely and being comfortable with all the tools, collaboration tools, whether they are the GitHub or the Slack and all of that. So you have to still feel very comfortable with all of that and be familiar with them and understand the analytics. And I do believe that there is much more need today for everything that has to be with data and data driven, because all the decision making with every company now is focusing now on that. I mean, we hear that every day that they are publishing a different report. And what does all of this report? All these reports are collecting data and telling us whether it's about the pandemic or whether it's about how customers are responding, and whether it's how employees are feeling, and all kinds of things. And all of this is data. And we're making all of these decisions, whether it's on the leadership level or even on the lower level. We all making decisions based on data, and everything is data driven. So understanding data and how to work with data and how to interpret data is very important. I think it's more important than ever, and it's gonna continue to happen in the future.
Great. I want to get to two more questions, and we do have more questions than we have time for today. So I'll share the additional questions with you separately. So for anyone who's listening to us, if your question didn't get answered, we'll make sure that they get sent over to Merav. But the two that I thought would be good to close with one is, do you have any tips for entrepreneurs and small businesses?
Oh, okay. Here's a thought. I know that you probably read that the funding for startups is being low today, because a lot of places, I mean, all the VCs and all, they are now trying to cut costs and also trying to understand how everything is happening. However, and I can tell this is always true, if you really come up with a great idea, there will always be someone who's going to embrace you. And what you have to, and again, put your startup mindset right now. I mean, remember, agility, flexibility, and creativity. Be very creative. Look around. Collect the data. Look at users. Look at customers. Look at the behavior. Look at what is needed. I mean, these people, when they decided, okay, we're gonna create like face masks, mask at the moment, instead of making clothes, or doing, or going, or hand sanitizer instead of being a brewery. I mean, just think about they look for a market need. I mean, identify a market need at the moment, and if you identify that need and you have a really great solution, go for it. And I think that could be a great time to do it, because if there's a need, then, and you provide that need, then users will love it, and you find the investors following, and you'll find the funding. So I think that it's all about finding the right idea, and there's a lot of great ideas that now can solve all kinds of problems and situations that are happening with COVID. And you can find, and I'm sure that if you are a creative person, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And solution.
Sorry, very solution oriented
Yep.
and quick to pivot, it sounds like.
Yep.
All right, so in our last minute,
Mhm.
if we can address this question. It was phrased in the form of students, because we do have some of our students as well as alumni and larger community here. But what can students do to keep competitive in the event that their internships have been canceled for the summer? We've certainly seen a lot of that.
Right. I understand. I mean, and I also seen people that, they got a job and it was recent, and projects that have been freezed and canceled. So everyone got some kind of a variation of that. So I can see that. So the best way that I can think of is try to look for maybe internships or projects that are unpaid, necessarily paid. I mean, just, so you can get the experience and put it on your resume. And if you can't even find that, then don't give up on the learning process. Educate yourself, upgrade yourself. I mean, learn, I don't know, a new language, or I mean, get more familiar with data or something like that, if you have the time to do that, and then you can put something on your resume that you have extra skills that you thought at first you don't have time to do it, and now you can do it. And if you think about, that kind of ties to the previous question, Margaret, is that when you're saying about entrepreneurs, have them put your entrepreneur cap on right now and think about, okay, if I don't have a job, I can create myself a job, meaning that I can work on some kind of an idea. I can work on an app, or I can work on an imaginary platform, or whatever. I mean, and just do it and show that it's working, and have that as your independent project that you have, and maybe you can find other friends of yours that also are in this position and create like a group and work together, which could be very nice. You can learn from each other, and you can create like a group that call yourself the entrepreneurs of Rutgers. I don't know, call, I mean, make good of it, and then put it out there and put it on GitHub, or put somewhere that you can show that you have done something. And just we all have to think very creatively outside of the box, so for lack of a better expression. I just like to call it like the startup mode, because we always have to think about, okay, this is not working, what's working, what's working, what's working. We always like thinking about the next solution. And this is how you have to think about, rather than beating yourself up. Oh, I don't have a job, or I got rescinded, or something like that. Think about, okay, so what can I do with that? How can I position myself better? So just move on. Always think about the moving forward and not getting stuck.
That's great advice. So we are slightly past time, so we're going to end our Q&A and just thank you, Merav, and our awesome, amazing audience for their great questions today. Just want to close with a reminder that our RBS Virtual Lunch and Learn series takes place on Wednesdays at noon Eastern Time. We hope it's easy for you to remember in the middle of the week and the middle of the day. For more information, you can always visit our webpage, business.rutgers.edu/alumni/lifelong-learning. And we have an exciting schedule of topics and presenters lined up over the next several months, thanks to great suggestions from our audience, like you guys. So we encourage you to keep sharing those great ideas. We want the series to continue to meet your needs. So if you would, please stay online for just a moment longer as today's webinar ends, because you'll immediately see a very brief 3-question survey about today's event. And one of those questions is a free form field to type in topics or speakers that you'd like to see featured in our future webinars. And lastly, I mentioned it earlier, but I'll mention it again. A link to the archived recording of this presentation will be shared via social media and emailed to you as well. It'll be found on the Business Insights page of our website too. So thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day. Bye for now.
Thank you, Margaret, and thank you, everybody, and thank you for having me. And again, if you have more questions to ask me, you can find me whether on LinkedIn or shoot me an email. So I'm sure you can find me. Thank you so much for having me, and happy summer, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.